This short presentation explains to commercial farmers how to buy a Suffolk ram using estimated breeding values and breeding indexes. My name's Samuel Boone and I head up Signet Breeding Services, working with about 500 pedigree flocks and a few beef herds to assist in the genetic improvement programs that we deliver as part of AHDB. So, in terms of talking about the commercial benefits, we're going to look at where to find the information, what it means, and how to benefit from breeding values. So performance recording is a service run through Signet Breeding Services, part of AHDB. Essentially we're collecting measurements of live weight and muscle and fat depth using ultrasound. We're analysing that data to take into account the relationships between animals and teasing out all the non-genetic influences on performance. So an animal's age, whether it's a single or a twin, or the farm that it was born on. And that enables us to rank animals according to their genetic merit. So the only thing a ram passes to his progeny is through his genes, through his breeding potential, and we need to be able to assess that. So we do that using a series of estimated breeding values and breeding indexes. And it's been tremendously successful. Suffolk's one of the early adopters of performance recording, and we've worked with them over the last 3 decades at least, and over that time they've made over 100 points worth of genetic progress across the whole breed. So this isn't just the performance recorders, this is across the breed with those performance recording genetics going on to help enhance sheep in many Suffolk flocks. What that actually means in real terms is about a 6 kilo increase in the genetic potential for growth of the average Suffolk lamb that's born over that time. So a major increase, and much of that will be passed on into their commercial progeny. So where to find the information? If you head to the Signet website, you'll find all of the information that you need. And there's probably 3 areas we'll talk about today. One is the flock finder, so that shows how to find the nearest flock. Another is the quick search, and then finally is the sheep for sale section. So we're going to look at each of those in turn. Within Flock Finder, simply put in the breed of interest and the postcode, click on the search button, and it will show you the nearest flocks to you. You can also see a smiley picture of either the sheep or the people that have them for sale, because clients can upload their own details, and there's a quick click if you want to get hold of their latest EBVs. So you can find that information by clicking on the green line. So that's the Flock Finder. If you're looking for individual animals, then head to the sheep search function off the Signet website. Put in the breed, put in the first bit of the flock identifier, and you'll get to see all the animals that match that description. So we've got 197 here, lambs within the Bentley flock. If you know the specific animal, then put in its full details and you get the full animal record. So it works on the flock book number. You must put in the colons in the right place as per the society format. If you're using the UK ministry tag, if you've got a ram out in the field and you want to check its breeding values, you can do exactly the same, but you must put in the spaces in exactly the format shown here. So UK space 0 space the flock number space the individual number. There are lots of ways of showing breeding information. If you head to the website, you'll see a chart like this with all of the EBVs shown. If you head to a sale, you'll often see a simplified sale chart. If you head to an auction, you'll often see this information in the catalogues, and you can download Excel spreadsheets directly from the website. But it's the same information you're looking at. It's a series of EBVs, and very often they'll be accompanied with a series of accuracy values. So if we look at this animal in particular, you can see his estimated breeding values shown on the left. These are a prediction of his genetic merit for a specific trait. So they're expressed in real units of measurement. A scan weight EBV of 6.4 means he's got the genetic potential to be 6.4 kilos heavier. Half of those genes will be expressed by the progeny, so you'd expect on average the progeny to have be 3.2 kilos heavier than those produced by a ram with an EBV of 0. The individual traits mean different things. So high 8-week weight will mean faster lamb growth to 8 weeks of age. High litter size EBV means more prolific daughters. High maternal ability means daughters that will produce more milk and thus rear heavier lambs. High scan weight EBV means lambs that will grow faster to scanning time. High muscle depth EBV means they'll be more muscular at a fixed weight. High fat depth EBV means that you can influence whether they're leaner or fatter. And then you've got an overall breeding index that will pull those breeding values together. So the superiority either as terminal sires or for keeping back female replacements. And obviously if you are sending all the lambs to slaughter, then EBVs like litter size and maternal ability are a lot less important. But if you're keeping back females for yourself, then they're well worth a look. So it's fairly self-evident how we assess growth rate. That's taken by measurements of lamb weights over time. But we've made tremendous use of ultrasound scanning in the last 20 years, so measuring muscling across the loin and also taking 3 measurements of fat depth so that we can improve the overall yield and conformation of performance recorded lambs. We do this on about 40,000 lambs a year. CT scanning is done on a much smaller subset, but that's very much the icing on the cake. So many of the elite rams will go through that, and that gives us an idea of total muscle, total fat and total bone yield to an accuracy of sort of 97% plus. We can measure spine length, we can measure vertebrae number, we can measure gigot muscularity, and we can measure intramuscular fat within the muscle itself. So a whole range of new CT traits are available through the CT scanner, and that information is readily accessible online. So heading back to our example here, we've talked about the EBVs. Here are the accuracy values. Now the accuracy values range between 0 and 99%, showing how much we know about that animal and the confidence we have in its breeding values. They indicate how likely an animal's breeding values are to change over time, and they tend to be higher for stock rams. So if you're using AI, they tend to be lower for new untested rams coming through onto the market. The chart presentation shows us how an animal performs relative to others within the population. So the midline is the average for all Suffolks. Anything shown to the right tends to be above average, that you get more of that particular trait, so more growth, more muscling. Anything below the line tends to indicate less than average. So this animal here for fat depth, for example, is fractionally leaner than the breed average. If it was on the other side of the line, it would be slightly positive. When it comes to sale catalogues, exactly the same information is shown. You've got a set of breeding values and a set of accuracy figures shown underneath. Here, because you don't have the chart to assist you, it's quite useful to actually have the breed benchmark, which shows you which is average, top 25% or top 10% for the breed, and then you can see how this animal ranks relative to other animals that are out there. It's important to think about the type of rams that you want on a particular farming system. Here we've got 2 high-performing animals in terms of their overall breeding index. The one on the top has really high growth rate EBVs, so the potential to reduce days to slaughter in particular tends to be a little bit closer to average in terms of muscling and overall fatness. The one below has much higher breeding values for the maternal attributes, so litter size and maternal ability. So if you're keeping female replacements, it would be quite an important animal, and is also much higher in terms of muscling at a fixed weight. But it does tend to be a little bit lower for growth, and so there's a trade-off to be made, and you need to think about your farming system as to which ram would make you the most money. So talking about making money, we need to think about why it's important to invest in performance recorded stock. So one of the great ways of showing this is through our commercial progeny test, Ram Compare. This is data from 3 farms from a range of rams, and it shows very clearly the link between increasing the scan weight EBV of the sire and our ability to reduce days to slaughter, get lambs away faster, and to get them finished more quickly, often for better prices. In addition to that, within the Suffolk breed, we can see relationships between scan weight EBV and carcass weight, between muscle depth EBV and conformation, and also a clear relationship between the new fat depth EBVs and fat classification. So we've got a good way of manipulating commercial performance using estimated breeding values. And this adds up. If we talk about the typical benefits we were seeing on ram compare between the higher and the lower performing rams, not that we actually purposely sought low performing rams, but there was still a £3.50 to £4 lamb benefit that could be directly linked to sire genetics. Multiply that up over their working lifetime and we're talking about the best part of £1,000 extra per ram. So highly cost effective way to improve performance, providing that your rams are doing 3 or 4 seasons at least and dropping plenty of lambs. In terms of sourcing rams, well, in 2020 life's going to be a little different with less physical ram sales taking place, but you've got Flock Finder to actually help you find people within your area. In addition to that, there'll be online auctions and breeder Facebook sites, many of which will have links to the EBVs on our website, and of course the Breed Society also has its own pages that will assist. In addition to that, Signet has a page of sheep for sale, and so you can click on that page and it will list the Suffolks, which are just off the bottom of that screen, but it would show you the number of Suffolks that are currently for sale and indeed semen that's available. When it comes to buying rams, it is important that they have a long reproductive life, so it's about thinking about buying and establishing a relationship with the breeder, talking to them about your requirements, getting in early to get the animals that you want. The standard checks of teeth, toes and testicles are as important as ever, and being wary about animals that have been excessively fed, although that's probably less of a risk this season than maybe in previous seasons. And then there's a whole heap of veterinary diseases to think about that you can minimise either through good quarantine or by buying from flocks with a high health status to reduce the risk of bringing in more than just the animal's genetics. If you want more information about performance recording, please head to the Signet website, and if you're a pedigree flock thinking of recording in the future, then do get in touch.